This is the math review video for Chapter 17, Lesson 1, which is all about the outcomes and probability. This lesson really outlines a lot of the vocabulary that you'll need to have in place for the rest of the lessons, and really whenever you're talking about probability. In this lesson, you will describe outcomes of probability experiments. Each color on a spinner represents an outcome or possible result of a single spin of the pointer. The sections are the same size on all the spinners. Spinner 2 has 2 blue sections and 2 red sections. On spinner 2, an outcome of red and an outcome of blue are equally likely. Outcomes that are equally likely have equal chances of occurring. The sample space is the set of all possible outcomes. The sample space for spinner 1 is red, green, yellow, and blue. For spinner 2, the sample space is red and blue. For spinner 3, the sample space is blue. An event is a set of one or more outcomes. It can be any set that is part of the sample space. For spinner 1, the pointer landing on blue is an event. The pointer landing on red or blue is also an event. The theoretical probability of an event, or P and then the event in parentheses, is the ratio of the number of favorable outcomes to the number of all possible equally likely outcomes. You can express probability in words or as a fraction. And here we have it. The probability of an event, or P and then the event in parentheses, and here's how you would write that ratio in fraction form. You would put the number of favorable outcomes, or in other words, whatever outcome you're looking for, as the numerator, and then as the bottom number, you would put the number of possible equally likely outcomes. Here are some examples. With this spinner, if I wanted to know the theoretical probability of landing on blue, I would have one blue section out of 4 possible sections. So that would be 1 of 4 sections. So you could write it out as 1 out of 4 in words, or write it with 1 over 4 as fraction form. Either way, you would read both of these as 1 out of 4. Remember to put your notation in front of it as well. This is important. You can't just write 1 out of 4. You need to put the notation of what ratio you are referring to. And this tells us that we're looking at the probability of blue. Here's another example with the new spinner. Here we're looking at the probability of the pointer landing on blue. And we have 2 blue sections out of a possible 4 here. So it would be 2 out of 4 or 2 over 4 in fraction form. Now remember, with ratios, you don't simplify. You can write this as 1/2 and it wouldn't be wrong, but the best answer would be the ratio 2 out of 4. And here's another one where all our sections are blue. So we have 4 chances out of 4 that it will be landing on blue, which simplified 4 over 4 is 1, which we know that 1 means it is certain. Probability may take on any value between 0 and 1. The more likely an event is, the closer its fraction of probability is to 1. The less likely an event is, the closer its fraction of probability is to 0. Here's a number line. So if you have a ratio that's equivalent to or is actually 1/2, that means that your odds are equally likely. If you have a numerator that's close to the denominator, that means it's more likely. And if you have a ratio that is equivalent to 1, that means it is a certain event. If the numerator is further away from the denominator, or on this end of the number line, then it would be less likely to happen. And if it is 0, that means it is impossible. Here we're going to do some more examples. Find the probability of each event. Describe how likely the event is. Let's say I have some number cubes that are labeled 1 through 6, and I want to find out what the probability of tossing a 2 or a 4 on one of those cubes would be. I have 2 favorable outcomes, the 2 and the 4. I have 6 possible outcomes, the 1, the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for each side. So that means my probability of rolling a 2 or a 4 would equal 2 favorable outcomes out of 6 equally likely outcomes, which means my ratio would be 2 over 6, or simplified down to 1 over 3. Since 1/3 is less than 1/2, tossing either a 2 or a 4 is unlikely. Here's another example. We're looking now for the chances of pulling a yellow sock from the drawer. We have 6 favorable outcomes, the yellow sock. There are 6 of them. And we have 8 possible outcomes because we have the yellow socks and the blue striped socks. So our probability of pulling a yellow sock would be 6 out of 8. Since 3/4 is greater than 1/2, pulling a yellow sock from the drawer is likely. What's the probability of pulling a red sock from the drawer in this example? You're right, there are no red socks, so that means that there would be 0 chance of this happening, which means that it would be impossible. Let's do some more practice. Let's write the probability as a fraction in simplest form. Here's again our model of how you would write the probability of an event. Number 1 out of 5. We would write that as 1/5. Good job. Number 2, 4 out of 8. We would write that as, and now we have the numerator 1, which means it's already been simplified. So that would be 1/2. Good job. And number 3, if I have a ratio of 2 out of 6, that would be simplified to 1 out of 3. Here's some more practice with the spinners. Using the spinner to write the probability of spinning each event. Green, 1/6, because I have 1 section out of 6 possibilities. Let's look at yellow. We have 2 favorable outcomes out of a possible 6. So that'd be 2/6. I hope this video has helped you remember our lesson. Thanks. Come again.